Here's your wrestling news for December 16th, 2022. And we're starting off today with Mandy Rose, who has had a difficult week, losing both her NXT Women's Championship and her job within a matter of days. Rose's departure came due to the kind of content she's been posting on her FanTime website, and now the WWE has made her release official. On the WWE.com roster page, Rose's profile has been removed, and the graphic advertising NXT on the site has seen Rose replaced by new NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. Rose's firing comes at an interesting time, as she was expected to return to the main roster soon, and her loss comes just 3 days short of her becoming the second longest reigning NXT Women's Champion. Rose is now gone from WWE, a decision that has angered fans who have made their voices heard on social media. On Twitter, the hashtag #RehireMandyRose has been trending, as has hashtags including Justice for Mandy Rose and Mandy Rose Deserves Better. Fans have accused WWE of double standards, saying that their action this week is nothing like when Seth Rollins or Saraya had leaked content in previous years. While fans are hoping to make a change, it's unlikely to work, as WWE are sticking to their reasons for firing the Toxic Attraction member. Sources have explained WWE's reasoning, saying this situation is completely different to Paige or Seth Rollins, both of whom were the victims of revenge porn shared online by vengeful exes. Instead, WWE sees Rose's content as something she willingly shared online, profited from, and most important, claimed that she knew of the consequences of her actions. WWE have also argued that they are a publicly traded company, a global entertainment juggernaut who focuses on family-friendly content. Sources in the company have said that the last thing they want is to have someone on their posters, trucks, and commercials who young fans could find nude images of online. WWE believes that Rose crossed a line and left them absolutely no choice but to get rid of her over this situation. WWE is sticking to their guns and believe they had to release her, but that's hardly the story they want to tell. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that WWE have tried to float the narrative that Rose asked for her release 2 weeks ago, but there's no evidence that this is true. Instead, all reports have said that Rose was completely blindsided by the decision, hardly the reaction of someone who had already requested to be cut. As for her title loss, the decision was made by NXT head Shawn Michaels, as Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio explained. They switched the whole show around because what happened was, there was a meeting and Matt Bloom brought it up to Shawn Michaels, told him what some of the stuff that she'd been putting on her subscription services. Shawn's immediate thing was, we've got to get the title off her immediately, switched around the whole show, got the title off of her. The situation is also unlike Sasha Banks and Naomi, whose contracts with WWE were set to end this year, albeit after they walked out of Raw in May. Fightful Select reports that Rose signed a 5-year deal with WWE in 2019, meaning she had nearly 2 years left on her contract at the time of her release. With everything going around, a lot has been said about Rose, and the now former superstar has broken her silence on Twitter. In a new post on her website, Rose thanked fans for their love and support and assured them that her website won't be going anywhere. Now, we mentioned earlier that WWE is trying to float the idea that Rose wanted to be released, but her actions before the show beg to differ. In his report, Sean Ross Sapp said that things were very hasty with plans for her to lose, and that Fightful only found out 15 minutes before the show went live. Rather than someone tired and desperate to leave WWE, as the company is trying to claim, those close to Rose have said that she was in good spirits throughout the night, and that she's been in good spirits after her release. With her website attracting so much traffic, and business ventures like modeling and her growing donut business with Sonya Deville, Rose will be doing fine financially despite her release. It was also reported that prior to her release, Toxic Attraction had impressed WWE's higher-ups, but that there weren't any advanced plans for Rose or the group on the main roster. Rose's fiancé, former NXT superstar Tino Sabbatelli, also reacted, sharing a picture of his future wife on Instagram with the message, "The baddest game has ever seen, period." Now the question is, what will Rose do next? As while we know her site isn't going anywhere, her future in wrestling remains unclear. During the latest Busted Open Radio, Bully Ray, Dave LaGrecia, and Tommy Dreamer spent a lot of time on the topic, and Bully argued AEW should sign Rose. Comparing the former superstar to Trish Stratus, Bully Ray said that Tony Khan should send his jet to Rose's house, and that Khan should have tried to have Rose be the very first person you saw on this week's Dynamite. Of course, her non-compete clause, believed to be 90 days, prevented that, and Tommy Dreamer added that if AEW doesn't get her, Impact Wrestling would love to have her, and that Impact will make a move if AEW doesn't. One AEW name who knows Rose well is Saraya, as it was the British wrestler who aided Rose with her main roster call-up as part of Absolution. When Saraya shared her support for Rose, a female fan said that "hoes stick together," and the AEW star fired back, sharing that fan's profile pic and saying that she's the one who looks sticky. That fan has since deleted her Twitter account and will likely think twice before taking shots at Saraya or Mandy Rose. But what do you think of WWE's handling of Mandy Rose? Should they have fired her, or is she in a similar situation as Seth Rollins and Saraya? While Rose did share the content online herself, it was only meant for subscribers, but now those images have been leaked for the public. Or is her situation different to Saraya and Rollins? And if so, what should WWE have done? Let us know in the comments below. It was in May when Sasha Banks shocked the world by walking out of Raw with Naomi, a decision that led WWE to suspend both women. In June, it was reported that their contracts were in the hands of attorneys and that their deals with WWE were up, and now we know what Banks' future will be. With Sasha appearing at Wrestle Kingdom 17, many have wondered how WWE approved this, and the secret is that they're no longer a factor in her situation. Fightful Select is reporting that Banks' exit from WWE was negotiated months ago, despite her still being listed on WWE.com, and that she is free to take bookings from January 1st. This months ago time window lines up with tweets from Wrestling Inc.'s Raj Giri, who shared in June that Banks had parted ways with the promotion. Sources informed Fightful that there had been several non-wrestling events that had made attempts to book her, including WrestleCade and The Big Event, to huge wrestling conventions. Some conventions had considered rebranding themselves as entertainment cons rather than wrestling cons in order to book her before January 1st, as that date is only when she's allowed to do wrestling stuff again. Obviously, that didn't happen, and after this news broke, the hashtag #ThankYouSasha was trending on social media. Addressing her impending New Japan debut at Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th, Fightful revealed that an agreement was reached in November, and that while there's nothing confirmed between the boss and AEW, the possibility is not off the table. Sasha Banks isn't just looking at wrestling in her future, as she's been making her name in acting, appearing in Season 2 of Disney Plus's Star Wars hit The Mandalorian. Banks reportedly won't be returning for the show's next season, but she did recently wrap filming on her first motion picture and is seeking out more movie roles. With Banks gone, the big question is what else will Banks do in 2023, but according to this report, that decision is one the former women's champion has had months to think about. One name still in WWE is Shotzi, though she's currently out of action with a hand injury. It was a couple of weeks ago that Shotzi was seen clutching her hand and screaming in pain in the parking lot, while a pleased Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler walked away. Well, this showed all the signs of a kayfabe injury that isn't the case, as PW Insider reports. For those who have asked about Shotzi's hand injury, we're told that it was a legitimate injury issue that led to the angle on Smackdown last week. With Shotzi actually hurt, that means that she'll only be back when she's fully healed, but with the nature of her injury unclear, it's hard to say when that'll be. For the time being, Shotzi is on the shelf, and with rumors that Rousey will defend against Raquel Rodriguez at the Royal Rumble, we're wishing Shotzi a speedy recovery. Earlier this year, the White Rabbit videos had fans captivated as audiences around the world tried to solve clues that led to Bray Wyatt's return. These videos were the creation of Rob Fee, WWE's new director of long-term creative, who likely has something big in store for tonight's SmackDown. On Twitter, Fee encouraged people to catch the show, saying, "I wouldn't miss SmackDown this week, don't say I didn't warn you." Fee didn't say what is in store, but it could be more Uncle Howdy revelations, or maybe it's a mention of Ricochet dethroning Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Fans have been speculating, with suggestions that Bray Wyatt will wrestle or reveal the true identity of Uncle Howdy, while others suggested that tonight is the night the Bloodline turns on Sami Zayn. Some fans have even suggested that this could be Toxic Attraction's call-up to the main roster, complete with Mandy Rose, and that everything we've seen this week has just been a trick. Whatever WWE has planned, tonight's show should be one to remember, and we'll have to wait and see what has Rob Fee all excited. Speaking of Smackdown, we know that the December 30th episode will see the return of John Cena, but WWE has special plans for next week's episode. PW Insider has learned that the December 23rd episode of Smackdown will not be live and will instead be taped after tonight's show. This is hardly surprising, given that WWE's roster and crew want to spend the holidays with their families and will be free to do that next week. With Roman Reigns appearing tonight in his first appearance in Survivor Series, the Tribal Chief will be available for the December 23rd episode, and fans in the arena tonight will have a double bill of SmackDown action. Over to AEW, as MJF has made his feelings on the fans clear countless times, and this week, one young fan in particular felt the world champion's disdain. While walking around ringside, MJF spotted the young fan and feigned preparing to strike the fan, who ducked for safety immediately. Pleased with his efforts, MJF later tweeted a clip of the kids flinching, calling them a little MJF's disdain for children has been known for years and can be dated back to the 2020 celebration of life and Brody Lee Jr. MJF retained the AEW World Championship on this week's Dynamite and made this child flinch, so all in all, it was a pretty good night for the holder of the Big Burberry belt. More from WWE now, as Drew McIntyre has been missing for the past few weeks due to a ruptured eardrum. The Fighting Scotsman wrestled through the pain to compete at Survivor Series War Games, and now his return is drawing near. PW Insider has learned that Drew is scheduled to be a part of the upcoming WWE Madison Square Garden event on December 26th, where he'll be part of a huge 8-man tag. McIntyre will team with 3 fellow former world champions, Kevin Owens, Braun Strowman, and Sheamus, to take on the Usos, Sami Zayn, and Solo Sikoa. With a fatal 4-way Intercontinental title ladder match also scheduled, fans in New York will be getting their money's worth on Boxing Day, including seeing McIntyre's first match back in action. And we're ending today with some Impact Wrestling, as the promotion has a growing roster of impressive talent, which now includes a former Ring of Honor world champion. During last night's episode, Jonathan Gresham made his return to Impact in a segment confronting Eddie Edwards. When Backstage correspondent Gia Miller caught up with Gresham after the match, he confirmed that he signed a contract with Impact, saying that he has unfinished business with Edwards. Gresham last competed for Impact in April, and at the time had been scheduled to face Edwards down the line, but the match never happened. When Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, Gresham was one of the few stars to stick around, and even defended the ROH World title on AEW programming before losing the title to Claudio Castagnoli at Death Before Dishonor. Gresham's time with ROH would end in July, and now the former world champion is looking to have similar success as part of the Impact Wrestling roster. That's our news for today, guys. Please watch our previous video, 15 WWE wrestlers who passed away in 2022.